thank you for saying that, because I haven't interviewed anyone else that's said that, hasn't like gone to that side of RV life isn't going to fix you. Are you an RV person, or are you just RV life curious? Either way, this is a podcast for you. My name is Kate White, and I've interviewed over 50 of my fellow full-time RV women over the past year. These women are not just managing to travel full-time with their spouse, and often with young kids, they're also running a business or a nonprofit as well. These RV queens live a counterculture lifestyle while also pursuing their passion. They're living their dream both personally and professionally. This summer, I'm highlighting 8 of the most popular episodes of the podcast so far. And as a bonus, at the end of the episode, you'll get to hear an update on how the guest's life has changed over the past year. I hope you enjoy the episode and are inspired to keep pursuing your dreams as well. Ladies, I've been searching for a business coach to have on the podcast who knows how to explain the importance of sales in a relatable, interesting way. I have finally found the one. Not only is Dora Rankin a podcast guest, she's also the author of a book called The Heart Sell, which is a guide for women entrepreneurs who want financial freedom. I've read the book and am obsessed with it. If you're looking for a soulful yet strategic way to build your business, head to dorarankin.com and get the Heart Sell book today. All right, friends, let's get real for a sec. Cleaning every part of your RV, including the nasty bits, is a big part of RV life. We use wastewater products for our camper from Unique Camping and Marine that are the best. They have a 2-in-1 toilet cleaner and black tank treatment called Flush It. That is freaking brilliant. Find these and many other useful RV products at uniquecampingmarine.com and use code RVQueens for 15% off your order. Hello, my friends and fellow RV queens. Today you are in for a treat. I got to talk with Mel Lahr from Lahr's with Latitude, and her family have been on the road for 7 years. Oh my gosh. And they just got back from a trip to Greece, which sounded super magical. She is a self-proclaimed introvert. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because introverts have the superpower to like really speak about things in a deep way. And that was my favorite thing about Mel. She just kind of like went deep and philosophical on RV life and how we're all searching for freedom, and got me the goosebumps. I love this episode. I think you're going to love it too. Let's dive in. Hello, Mel, and welcome to the RV Queens podcast. How are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be able to come on here and chat.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. And also, the first thing I just have to ask you about is your trip to Greece, because you guys just got back, right?
We have been in the RV for just a few days. We got home Friday. So yeah, it's been crazy. It's a huge transition back. We lived on a Greek island for 3 months in an apartment, and that was the first time we really did anything like that in 7 years. So
I'm sure you've stayed in like homes and hotels and stuff in your 7 years of full-time travel, but I would imagine
just not for
right, not for that long. Yeah. So we had to just stay in an Airbnb a couple weeks ago, and we've only been on the road 7 months, so nowhere near as long as you guys, but like in that span of time, I already forgot what it's like to, like, when we sleep, the floor isn't like bouncing every time someone moves,
Yeah, I felt so grounded.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, nothing moves constantly. Got it. Did you have a dishwasher and amenities
And
like that?
what's a dishwasher? Yes. Yeah. What's a dishwasher?
Yeah. Okay, so you are now back in the RV, and then where in the US are you these days?
So we're originally from Illinois. So we are back. We left our RV here because we left our pets with family. We are hoping to head out in just a couple of days to head west, but for now we're trying to see everybody, make sure the RV is in order because there were a couple things messed up when we got here. So trying to get everything fixed and on the road.
I love it. I'm a Midwesterner too, so feel like I'm among friends already.
Yeah, we're like Southern Illinois. Where are you from?
We have been living in Nebraska for about 12 years. That's where my husband is originally from. I am born and raised Missouri, though, so I feel like it's all kind of the same.
It's all the same. We're about to drive through both of those states this weekend. So,
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, so I would love to start back 7+ years ago before you guys were in the RV. Tell me about Mel back in the day and what was your life like before full-time travel?
yeah. Okay. So we were married and had 3 kids at the time. And I was a full time social worker at a school, and Luke worked a full time job. And, he had to commute to St. Louis. We live outside St. Louis. We lived pretty normal lives. We had a 3-car garage, a huge house, like 4,000 square feet of madness. Like nobody needs that size of house. And really, we had to both work to afford it kind of thing. And then I quit my job because my oldest, who is almost 20 and now moved out, but at the time was in 5th grade, and we decided to homeschool. So when we started to homeschool, we did that for a couple of years, and we realized, wow, life can look really different. It doesn't have to look exactly like society says it does. So we were kind of going down that path. As soon as the homeschooling, which quickly turned into unschooling for our family, we started to unschool ourselves and our own mindsets and what the world could look like. And also, we had experienced a couple of deaths, parents and grandparents at younger ages, and our eyes just really started to open about everything. And as unschoolers, we also realized that we could show our kids the world. We didn't have to sit in one place. But both of our jobs, I mean, I wasn't even working anymore, but my husband's job was one place. He had to go into the office. So we didn't know how to figure that out yet. But basically, we said, we're going to do this. It was, I think, September 2015. I read like The Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, and I started just purging everything we owned, and it accumulated. Then we just got the ball rolling. And as soon as we set our eye on the prize, then all the things started happening.
So you said that homeschooling quickly turned into unschooling for you guys. Tell me about that.
So yeah, I have some special needs kiddos and completely different needs, all of them. I have 4 kids. But at the time I only had 3, and one was going into kindergarten and the one was in 5th grade. And my oldest is on the spectrum, but also highly gifted. So needed like more advanced stuff. So they were going to skip a grade, which is why we started homeschooling. And when we pulled the homeschool, I had like this schedule. Like, we're going to do math at this time. We're going to do reading at this time. And then my oldest would be doing science for like 3 hours. And I'm like, why would I stop my kid who's like totally passionate and into this thing and say, no, you got to do what I say you have to do. So it quickly just naturally, I think, turned into unschooling. And also having one that was going into kindergarten, it was really easy for me to be like, oh, it's kindergarten, let's try this. Mm-hmm. And it took me a couple of years, though, of researching. I was the only one in all the homeschool groups who unschooled. I was alone, alone in that. No one else did it. So I was listening to podcasts and reading books. And so that's kind of how that started.
So what does unschooling mean to you now that you've been into this a few years? I'm sure it's changed over time, but how do you define it?
Right. Yeah. I guess we've been unschooling for 9 years, over 9 years now. And I think the longer you do it, the more you realize how wonderful it is. So it's very easy, especially after you get past the first couple of years. The first couple of years is stressful. You're like, do this worksheet. I want to make sure you're learning something. And you're kind of freaking out, like, am I doing the right thing? But after you start realizing that your kids are just naturally learning things and that there's no separation between life and learning, that it is all the same thing, that we don't have to stop life to learn, that it kind of just intertwines with everything we're doing already. Then it becomes a much richer experience. Learning is fun. It's part of who we are. It's exciting. It's passion-led. It's child-led.
That's great. So last week I had an interview with Joni Zander. I don't know if you know her, but she runs the Galavan community and has a YouTube channel and stuff. And her kids are both grown now, but she unschooled them from a very young age back in long time ago. I can't even put a number to it, but she defines unschooling as learning
So she
with,
paved the way.
right, I know, for the rest of us, learning without, as if school didn't exist. And what would you do if there wasn't a school? How would you learn? You would find books, you would go online and find resources, like go into nature and study things. And I thought that was a really beautiful way of putting it, even for us families, that it's kind of becoming a more common phrase now. And I like how that was stated.
Yeah, a lot of people think unschoolers just don't do anything all day, but it looks nothing like that. It actually is a more partner kind of led learning. I see myself not as a teacher, but like as their partner in life, and how can we support them? So sometimes we use curriculum. My 10-year-old just asked for math curriculum the other day, and we got some Beast Academy in the mail. So it's not like we don't do those things. It's just depends on the kid and what their needs are, how they like to learn, what they're passionate about. It doesn't mean we just don't do anything. It means that we're constantly asking questions and, chasing rabbit holes or rabbit trails.
So your oldest is now an adult. You said they moved out. And is it okay to ask, like, what are they up to now that they've, gone through unschooling since 5th grade, it sounds like, and then what does their life look like as an adult?
Right. So as I mentioned, my oldest is on this autism spectrum. So it probably looks a lot different than most adults. And Leander has a lot of physical health issues right now. But I will say that after unschooling for 8 years, a lot of people who normally homeschool like to hear this story because it fits inside the box. So Leander was 16 and said, I want to go to college. And we said, okay, well, I guess you're gonna have to figure out how to do that, because if you're old enough to go to college at this age, then you need to show us that you're old enough by doing all the steps it takes, doing your own research, all of those things. So we said, you can go a year early if it's paid for, and if if you take care of doing all of the paperwork and everything. Little did we know it would actually happen because Leander scored like almost perfect on college entrance exams. We thought, you're unschooled, there's going to be some gaps. There's going to be, as I told you, Leander's gifted. But we were still surprised, like, you haven't learned the geometry, So there were, like, it wasn't a perfect score, but it was dang good. And then, like, Leander applied to all of these colleges, and we're like Luke and I are like, there's no way. And then Leander has, like, face interviews with, like, Dartmouth and Stanford, like, Zoom call interviews. Like, what is
Oh my God.
So Leander ended up going to the University of Denver in Colorado, which is a private university, and got a full ride scholarship. I had already gone and toured some schools with Leander, like Rice University in Houston stuff, and I met with the counselors. I'm like, we are unschoolers. How should this look on transcripts? What should we do? They're like, well, just fill out the paperwork as if everything's normal. So we made a transcript up, everything Leander was learning, every year. Coastal ecology when we were in the Carolinas for 6 months, that we made classes for everything. And Leander basically, for all of those higher level institutions, had to write big papers to get in. Had to prove with the tests, had to prove with the writing, had to, do all that without our help. Like, I did not even do the transcript. I just wrote a counselor letter, explained what unschooling was, what we did in our home, how we learned, and who Leander was as a person. So yeah, I mean, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, crud, we're actually sending our kid a year early to college, which was really scary. My point is, it's possible. But Leander had social and emotional and physical health issues due to the autism and everything related with it. So there's a lot of kinks that need worked out in regard to that, but definitely not academic. But I think that's what's really interesting is our other kids are not going to have the same struggles growing up in our home as an unschooler. Even if they went to public school, they're all completely different, and they're all going to have different paths. Some of them, like, we don't even really think college is necessary, So when Leander was talking about going to college, we're like, why don't you take a gap year travel. We're travelers. Like Leander was into speaking Korean. We're like, go live in South Korea for a year. But Leander wanted to take that traditional path. So we supported Leander in that.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm excited to see what the rest of your kids do too, because we do the same thing with our kids. We're already putting little seeds into their minds of you don't have to go to college if you don't want to. Start a business, make your own money. Because Drew and I both had very traditional paths and were super duper in debt with college loan debt when we started our adult lives and had to literally 8 years to get out of that debt and want to support them however they want to go.
Right. No, I completely agree. We both have degrees too. And there's like, yeah, why? Especially, well, and our teenager, he's 14, is already trying to start all these little businesses. So he's definitely more entrepreneurial minded.
Yep. There's a lot of kids we've met in the RV community too they have little businesses on the side, and I love it. I love it so much. You guys started homeschooling, and then connect the dots for me. You're having thoughts about like, oh, our life could look different, but your husband was still tied to like stakes and bricks, or what's the word for a job? A workplace, an office-based
9 to
job.
5. 9 to 5.
Yeah, 9 to 5, all that stuff. And this is pre-COVID, so working remotely was even more rare back then. What was that big why that got you guys on the road? And then logistically, how did you make it happen?
Okay, so big why was probably like, we live a short life. We can design it the way we want. Let's educate our kids to the max. Like, this is the ultimate unschooling, because you're supposed to, as unschoolers, just expose your kids to things, see what they're interested in. And we thought, well, let's go out and expose them to the world. So that was our goal. We wanted to go to all the national parks, see the country. My husband's job, could not be done remote. There was no way. And maybe at the time I could have done social work remotely. But when I quit my job, it was just really emotionally taxing, because I worked with kids with emotional and behavior disorders, and I was just drained, and I didn't have the energy to parent my own kids. So I remember when I stopped, I thought, I'm just going to put my energy and my love into my people and go from there. So we knew I probably wasn't going to do social work remotely. We knew Luke's job couldn't be done remotely, but we didn't know what to do. So like I said, we sold everything. We had huge, big trash days that were just depressing, and gave everything to Goodwill. And so this was September 2015. By the early 2016, mid to late January, Luke got offered a job to transfer from his position in St. Louis to Houston. And I said, do it, because we can live in an RV in Houston. We can't live in an RV all year in Illinois. So I thought, even now, it's miserable to be here in the winter. So we did that. But the day he turned in the form and said, okay, I take this job, we found out we were pregnant 2 hours later with my 4th baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, 4 babies in an RV.
Oh my gosh.
And I am not a good pregnant person. I'm sick the entire time. It's a hot mess. So it was bad. It was great news, because we were excited to be having another baby, but also really challenged. It was going to be really challenging, and it proved to be. But we had to move out, be in Houston, and I think he started 3 weeks after he took the job. So before we knew it, February 2016, we were in Houston. Luckily, they helped us sell our house. They transferred all our, moved us, and we were in an apartment for a month or so. And then we moved into an RV. Not this one. We did not buy this one until our house sold. So we didn't buy this one until August. But basically, 2016, we started traveling. We just traveled through Texas and Louisiana and around there until I had Rory. And then luckily I was able to have a water birth, because all my other babies were in the hospital and he was a VBAC. So it was really great that we moved to Texas, because Illinois didn't allow natural birth outside the hospital. So then we started looking for a job. Now, this was crazy because, like I said, Luke's job, he was basically a safety manager and worked at a plant. So he had to be in the office every day. There was no way to do this job any other place. So what he started to realize in his company was he could create a position that traveled. So they hired him for the position he created, but told us he couldn't move in the RV, he had to fly. So we said, oh, I guess we're not taking the position. And then he started looking. So we were working on that angle for a while, and then it didn't work out. So we switched gears and he started looking for jobs in the construction industry because they still need safety managers on site. So he did, I think, over 100 interviews until he found one that wanted to hire him and would let us move in an RV. We did that job for a few years. We traveled from job to job for 2 or 3 months at a time throughout the eastern half of the US. And we'd have like a month or two off in between jobs. So it was kind of nice because we'd be in one spot, check that whole area out, and then we'd have a month or two to travel and see other things and go to the next spot. So we did that for a few years. Then he switched to another company that moved every couple of weeks. It was the same sort of work. And then he got a remote job in that company that he created the position for. Again, he's having to create these positions that he can do remotely. But after a year of that, he got laid off from that job. And this was 2 or 3 years ago. And we're like, this is our chance to do our own thing. We have to start our own businesses or we're going to keep doing this. Like, you know, and it's scary. It's scary to start your own business, doing something that, because both of our degrees are in things, we had to come up with completely new things to do. But it's really scary when you have kids to support, right? And you are all of a sudden completely in charge of your finances and how much money you make and all of that. But we did it. He started his own specialized recruiting company that basically hires for the jobs he used to do. So it's not just recruiting anybody, it's recruiting safety managers for companies. So he has all of the knowledge from working in those positions and now he can hire for them. So it's been really great. And then I started doing the social media more seriously and creating it as a business, like treating it as a business rather than a scrapbook. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind, but now we can work from anywhere. And I remember sitting on the deck at our house before we did all this, having a conversation and saying, you'll know we made it when we're working from the beach in Bali. And we were just working from the beach in Greece. So I kind of feel like that counts, right?
Oh my gosh, 100%. Yes. Have you heard that song that came out by, I think the singer is Tones and it's called We Made It. And it has like this big anthem at the end with like a choir. And it says, we made it. Oh, we made it.
Oh, that's our song then.
Yeah, go look it up. It's so good. Because when it's new, like it came out a few months ago. And I played it for my husband when I first heard
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, we love, you know, traveling full time and we get to like see these beautiful places. Like we're right outside Chattanooga right now and it's just the sunrise and sunsets and the hills. It's just those are the moments that you really feel that song like we made it. Yeah, sitting on the beach in Greece.
Right.
Definitely. And but then there's also moments where the kid's puking in the middle of the night and the whole RV smells like puke and you're also like Drew will look at me and be like, we made it. I'm like, yep, still here.
Well done.
It's all part of it.
That always happens to us when we're boondocking and we're not hooked up to water.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. At that point,
I feel like it always happens during the worst time.
Right. Just throw it all outside. Let the animals eat the puke clothes. We'll deal with it in the morning.
We'll buy new bedding. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Oh, okay. What a journey. That's amazing. And I thought you guys were entrepreneurs from the beginning. So it's incredible, like, to hear that leap from being a remote employee, really tied to a paycheck. And then in the middle of RV life, like, you know, it's not a super cheap way to live. Like some people think there's definitely expenses that come with it. Including repairs. But making that switch, that's so risky in the middle of your journey is a lot. That I applaud you guys. That's really brave of you.
I think maybe in some ways, but some ways not. Because if you think about it, a lot of people jump into RV life and they do it all at once. Like, okay, we're going to homeschool, we're going to RV, and we're going to work remotely. And then try to figure it all out at the same time. And we are baby step kind of people. So we're like, okay, we're homeschooling. Now let's figure out how to live in the RV. And now let's figure out how to move the RV. Like I said, his first job, we only moved every couple of months. And then we moved faster. And then we worked remote. And then we got our own job. I mean, this is how baby step. It's taken 7 years. You know, it's taken us a long time to get where it takes some people like 2 months. So
yeah,
we definitely took it slow. But slow and steady wins the race, right?
that's right. And it's a smart path for, I think there's probably a lot more people that are like you that are looking for, if they want a life of time freedom and, location freedom and all that stuff that comes with RV life, that's a good model that you just put out there as baby step. Me and my husband were the complete opposite. We're like just full immersion, dive in. We don't know anything about RVs, but we both were working remotely and we were already familiar with homeschool. So it was just like that. The RV stuff, we knew nothing.
The RV stuff. And the RV stuff's a huge, like, people don't realize how hard it is to, I mean, for us anyway, our first 2 years of moving the RV, it was more issues with our truck, but we were broke down on the side of the road every time we moved for 2 years. It was we had 6, and then on the RV, 6 tire blowouts. I mean, we had lots of little things in the RV go wrong, like toilet issue, just stuff that I don't even care about anymore, because nowadays you just realize it's par for the course. But at the time, with a brand new infant on the side of the road, I remember he was a month old, and I was nursing him, and we were on the side of the road. We had no clue what was wrong with the truck. And I called them travel angels, but travel angels show up every time. And like this guy hooked our whole system up with a huge chain and like pulled us off the highway. And we slept in some random gas station parking lot in Missouri, November 2016. And I woke up with my shades were all shut and I forgot where I was, And then I looked outside and I'm like, I cooked like a hot meal for my family. I'm like, I cannot freaking believe this is my life right now. Like, is this a good way to raise kids? But then that day, tow truck came, took the truck where it needed to get fixed. And because we don't have a class A, someone was able to just tow us to a campground and we were able to live our normal lives for a few days while the truck got fixed. So yeah, we've come a long way since then, but we have had fires in the middle of the highway. We've had transmissions go out on the side of the mountain and have to back down. Like, we've had horror stories. And I think because of those stories early on in our travel, we have really become resilient and realized that all these little things that go wrong is fine. It's fine. And if something big happens, I mean, one time, we were rolling up the side of a mountain at northern Georgia, and we pull in to get our state park campground pass, and Luke comes out, and where the fifth wheel attaches to the truck was ripping off the RV, hanging by like a thread. So we just like went up the whole mountain, and I was like, what the heck? But Luke like drove an hour, found the part, came back, redid it all, and we're just like, Luke can fix anything, so we're fine.
I have never heard that.
It's crazy.
And now I have a new nightmare.
It was not as bad as the transmission on the side of the mountain thing, because backing down a mountain, that first truck we got was a Ford. It was an old Ford. So don't get an old Ford.
Oh my gosh. We drive old. How old are you?
I don't know anything about trucks.
Oh my gosh. I don't either.
Oh, do you have a Ford?
Yes. And it's a 2014, so it's kind of old.
Oh, no. This was a 2009 or something. 2000. probably it's either a 6 or 9. I don't remember. But it was like
Okay.
a 450. We thought this is beefy. A
Yeah.
450 will haul a toy hauler just by,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
just kept having problems. And every time we'd fix something, we'd be like, well, now everything's broken, so it's fine. And then something else would break. We're like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, well, that's why we have a brand new truck, and we spend a lot of money on that payment because we went through some traumas.
Yes. Well, I mean, we had basically the opposite story with our first camper. And mind you, we've only been on the road 7 months. So the first 3 months of travel was with a really crappy old fifth wheel that didn't have auto leveling and had soggy floors. And we bought it pre-owned, uninspected, like we did not know anything, and it kept breaking. And our travel days were horror stories because of the RV. Like the truck so far, knock on wood, has
Because of the
been fine
RV.
on travel
Yeah.
days. But it was always like the landing gear, like I don't even know, won't come down, won't go up, the leveling, the blah 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 blah. And I don't know if you had this
Right.
experience, but I would like on our travel days, I would just like get a ton of anxiety in the morning, and I'm like, oh God, what is going to go wrong now? Like just like bracing myself all day. So we ended up getting a new camper and selling that one, and now we have a nice new, ridiculously expensive camper that we make payments on, and a 2014 truck. And guess what? Our nice new camper still has problems. Still has problems. Like the
Yeah.
bedroom slide has never worked in
They
this
all
thing.
do.
I know. And so now I'm finally coming to the wisdom and peace that you are showcasing, which is like, you know what? This is just how it goes. When you're trying to move a tiny home
Yeah.
instantly, like stuff's going to shift, it's going to break, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. We have over the past couple of years, leaf springs kept breaking. They had that since we upgraded, but yeah, we drive this thing through Baja though, and like crazy boondocking roads. So we don't even care. Like I would rather have a really great boondocking site and break a leaf spring than not have it. So that's how we travel. Like we know, like if we have to fix something, it's fine. Like that's how fine we are with things breaking at this point.
You know, you can tell you just have this attitude in life about don't sweat the small stuff. It's fine, whatever. And you value the more important things like
Okay,
being
but
together.
that's not how it always was. That's not how, you know what though? This one time we were driving and we had scraped our roof on a McDonald's. This was at the very beginning of our travels. And then we ran out of gas on the side of the road. This was all the same morning. Well, no, we were trying to drive around the back of a gas station and it had a McDonald's attached to it. So we hit the sign.
Oh my gosh.
And then we ran out of gas. Then we go to the Hardee's parking lot to get breakfast because we're just get some breakfast. And I go in and I come out with these 2 huge bags, and the wind comes and all my breakfast falls on the ground.
Are you kidding
and
me?
Luke gets mad at me. He gets mad at me because he's stressed from everything else that happened. And so we're driving down the road and I threw my breakfast sandwich in his face. Like it was bad. Like we did not always handle stress really
Keep it
good
together.
At first, I mean, you got to work through it though, or you got to quit, you know? So we weren't ready to stop RVing. So we had to work through our stuff. So.
Oh my gosh. So many examples I could give of very similar conversations, but I'm going to keep us moving. Okay. So I'm curious to hear your perspective about community on the road. How have you met people? Are there certain, online groups or in-person groups or whatever? How do you meet other families that are RV families on the road?
Okay, so the first couple of years, we weren't very good at it because we were going job to job. We didn't have 1,000 trails. I wasn't as active on Instagram. So the families we did meet at state parks were just there for the weekend, things like that. So we didn't really meet a lot of friends the first couple of years. Luke and I are both introverted, so it was kind of okay. The kids, especially certain kids, really liked meeting friends, and so that was hard. But then after that, we started getting active on social media. When I started getting active on social media, I started connecting with people in direct messages. And I mean, that's where I shine. I'm more of a one-on-one kind of person. So when people are messaging me, that oftentimes, if we're going to be in the same area, that's how we plan things and meet up. Also, Thousand Trails campgrounds. You always meet people at Thousand Trails campgrounds. We typically boondock. We don't always do Thousand Trails. We went to Thousand Trails Orlando once, and it was a bit much for us. There's just so many freaking people. So we definitely prefer like meeting up with a couple of other families and like boondocking or something. So
Yeah, TTO, as they say, it's a lot. We were there for 3 weeks. We kind of like stumbled into it because we didn't know anything about Thousand Trails, and we ended up there with a bunch of people that we met in January in Florida, which is, I don't know if there's a busier time or not busy time. It seems like the kind of place that's just constantly busy. And it was, the first week was like a party all week, and we loved it. Like fires every night and kids everywhere. And then by week 2, I was like, do not come in my house. You are going to someone else's camper. If I have to sweep this floor one more time. And by the third week, it was like, all right, we love you. We love you so much, kids, but we gotta go. We need some space. But it really is a magical place for the kids.
it is. And we parked on the B fields that trip, and I parked in such a way where I could see the whole dang field. So I just stayed inside and cleaned my RV. And I remember thinking, this is the first time my RV's been this clean in a really long time, because my kids were just outside playing the whole time.
Right.
So it was actually kind of nice in that way.
That's right. That's right. You have some time to get some stuff done when the kids are out playing. That's right. Okay, so you find families on social media and you like to connect with one or two families. I love that. Do you feel like over the past 7 years, online or I don't know, in person either, has the RV community and culture like changed in the time that you've been living this life?
I don't know about culture so much as people's why they're traveling. There's a lot more people on the road the past couple of years. What has really changed for us, it is the ability to just roll into a state park or anywhere for that matter and get a campsite that day. That's basically how we have always traveled. We are last minute, don't plan ahead, roll in. And as the years have gone by, the more we've realized you can't just roll in anymore. So although we rolled in here, so in this place, in the out spot. But yeah, that's gotten trickier. As far as the people, I feel like the cool thing about our viewers is that they're all, no matter what background, what politics, what religion, it doesn't matter. We all have this common goal of more freedom, more togetherness, probably more nature. And it's awesome because you get around a campfire and you get this unique, eclectic group of people who all have this one common drive. And we've stepped outside that box that society had us in. And we have this like subculture, and it's great. I love that there's more people doing it. That's why I share on social media. I want to inspire more families to live their best lives. Think of what an amazing world this would be if more people lived true to their soul and their heart's desire, So if I just change one family's life, that's the only reason I post every day. If I could just change one person's life, then I'm doing something, right?
Wow, well said. I think I got goosebumps while you were saying that. I was like, yes, freedom. Yes, that's right. Aww. That's what we're all here for. Oh, so good. So I just asked you about how the RV community has changed over the years. How do you think you have changed over the past 7 years? When you reflect back on Mel, who was a social worker and lived in a physical home in one spot in St. Louis to now, what do you think the biggest changes have been for you?
Oh my gosh. I just feel like our family and myself, we're just completely different people. But at the same time, the same, obviously. It's crazy. I think year after year after year, when you're away from the noise and the judgment, the society and community you were in before, and the only people you're in is this, like I said, this really cool subculture of people who are overwhelmingly accepting and have that same mindset, you have the ability to grow in completely new ways because the stories and projections of others aren't coming at you all the time. So I would say emotional growth would be 100%. Of course, we've had the ability to work on finances and we've had the ability to work on just like physical health, all the things that you want to do to improve yourself. But the emotional and relationship growth that has come from this lifestyle, it is why we still do it. It's why we're still here after 7 years. You put, 6 people into less than 400 square feet and everybody's stuff's going to hit the fan. I've had people ask me, my husband and I are thinking about a divorce. Should I travel in an RV to save our marriage? And I say no. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be the path to saving a marriage. Do I think you're going to have more connection and grow together if you choose? Yes. But first, everything's going to be harder, way harder. And you can't just brush off any argument. You can't just walk in the other room. It walks there with you. You're just with it all the time. So unless you work through it and unless you face it, it's not going to happen. And so if you're walking into this without a steady foundation, I can imagine it would crumble a lot quicker. That's just my thought on the whole thing. But I do think it strengthens marriage over time. But I think walking into it with a steady foundation is important so that you have some place to move forward from, I think all the stressors that go with it at first would make it too much, especially if you're trying to save your marriage.
Totally. That's so wise. It's funny that you say that because a few weeks ago we met a family. They were across from us at this campground and they were on day 3 of living in an RV full time. And I could tell from the way they talked about it, it was their mindset was like, now we live in an RV. Now we are free. Now this is going to be the life that we want. And it made me and my husband have a lot of conversations after meeting them about it's actually finding the freedom inside yourself first and inside your own mind that really, like you said, sets a foundation for a good life on the road. Because if you're trying to fix everything by living in an RV, that's absolutely not going to happen. It has to come from a place of freedom and joy and kind of wholeness on the inside first. Like nothing external is going to fix what's going on inside. I don't care if you travel to Bali and Greece and like everywhere in the world. It's always
your problems chase you everywhere.
Oh, I was just gonna thank you for saying that because I haven't interviewed anyone else that's said that, hasn't gone to that side of RV life isn't gonna fix you. It's not perfect. It really is a lot of heavy emotional work that you're not expecting, but in the end, it makes you more resilient. It makes you grow, all the beautiful things that come from it, but it's not going to fix you.
Right. And I have rose-colored glasses. So I'm the person who walked into this thinking everything's going to be beautiful. And so as things started to fall apart, as the truck was breaking down, as all these things were happening, I was melting down. I was like, this isn't the dream I had. We're not in Zion National Park looking over these, beautiful views. What is going on? This is terrible. And luckily, my husband would be the steady voice and a reason, and we would stick it through. And then the next day I'd be like, oh yeah, we're totally RVing forever. Because as you said earlier, like every time you have an awe-inspiring moment, it really lifts you up in a way and pushes you forward in a way that like you almost get addicted to the awe. I can't imagine going back to the mundane of regular life after living such epic adventures, you know. I'm not saying we never will, but thankfully the kids agree and they want to keep rolling. So here we are.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to end with a couple questions here. So number one, what is next for you guys? Are you staying on the road in the United States for a little longer? Do you have world travel in your sights? What do you got cooking?
Yeah, so we have exciting plans this summer. This is the first time I'm announcing. We are going to Canada. So we've been to Montreal, but we haven't been to the Canadian Rockies or the coastal BC area. We were going to try to go up to Alaska to get state number 49. But my 14-year-old son is wanting to play football this fall. So we're hoping to make a stop in northern Idaho with friends to play a football season. So I think August, September, October. After that, who knows? We have a lot of ideas about what we're going to do. We don't know what that looks like yet.
Ooh, that's exciting.
But we'll for sure be traveling. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. Okay, last question, and then I would love for you to tell people where listeners can connect with you online. So the slogan for this podcast is a podcast about unexpected riches. And I would love for you to share what has been the unexpected richness that you have found in RV life.
Oh, that's so hard because I think it really encompasses the whole lifestyle. I would say that richness looks a lot different than I thought it did when we had that house. I thought I needed a new car and a big house, and I needed to have, that's what I thought, you know. I knew in my soul it wasn't right, but I also didn't think that my dreams were possible. So now, of course, richness is freedom. And I think every other part of this lifestyle, it comes back to freedom. Because it doesn't matter if you like to travel to historical sites or national parks, or you like to go to cities and try new coffee shops. What matters is that you can. You have the ability. The wheels on, we had my best friend came over when we first started RVing, and her little boy said, "Why do you live in this trailer?" And I said, because it has wheels. And it has wheels. It can take us wherever we want. And that is one thing even we missed in Greece, was the ability to just go. You don't like your neighbors? See ya. You know, you don't like this view? Go check out another one. You want to go home and see family because there's a wedding? Okay. Like, you have the freedom to be and go and do as you please. And that's honestly the new rich, as they call it, right?
That's right.
Location independence.
That's right. Ooh, well said. Okay, thank you so much. Ooh, I feel like I could talk with you for about 3 more hours, but another time. Maybe in person, hopefully.
Maybe a campfire. Yes, a campfire.
A real one. Can you share with everyone where people can connect with you online?
So my handle on Instagram is Lahrs with Latitude, at Lahrs with Latitude. It's our last name, and our last name is spelled Lahr. So Lahrs with Latitude. And you can find us on YouTube. We are on TikTok now, Facebook, I think all the things. But most of my focus is Instagram, and we just started posting YouTube videos again. So hopefully more of that soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mel. It was such a pleasure and joy to have you on today.
Thank you so much. It was great meeting you. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Since I was on the podcast last year, a lot has changed for Lahrs with Latitude in a good way. We spent 6 months traveling overseas in Europe. We put the RV in storage, And we actually did some RVing in Europe, in Scotland and Ireland. So that was kind of cool. We got to travel in a Class C, which we've never done before. But we spent most of the winter and spring there. It was a wonderful time. Now we're back to the RV. We've had a really crazy couple months. Our dog passed away. We had a near RV fire. We've had flat tires. We had an issue with our truck, and we've had to long haul it across the country and back. And now we're finally in Gunnison, Colorado, where Cohen, my 15-year-old, is going to play fall football again. So it's nice. We finally get to settle down and just rest for a few months and do some normal life things. We really love that about RV life because it gives us the opportunity to slow down when we need to slow down and pick back up when we want to pick back up. So as for my business, Lars with Latitude has been doing really well. This has been my best year yet in terms of partnerships. We are Thor ambassadors, Heartland ambassadors. We are working with Cummins. We got to do a commercial shoot, and we're going to be collaborating with them for the next 6 months or so. And then we have a lot of other things in the works. So things are going really well here, despite some, travel ups and downs. Just that's RV life, right? Anyway, it's been good chatting. Bye.
All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being my favorite part of RV life. If you could please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on, that would be awesome. And listen, if you want to have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women, head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community and choose your RV Queen Circle today. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. If I have to sweep this floor one more time.